When it comes to pasta, few cities have a stronger culinary claim to fame than Rome. Rome doesn't need reinvention. It's not chasing trends. It's been feeding the world for over 2,000 years, and when it comes to pasta, it gets by on just 4 dishes. Yeah, just 4. Cacio, Pepe, alla Gricia, Amatriciana, and Carbonara. Oh my God. Pecorino Romano cheese. There's nothing like it. So let's talk cheese for a moment, right? You have so many different types of cheeses that stem from Italy. The most famous cheese probably has to be Parmigiano Reggiano, right? Everybody knows it, everyone loves it, it's delicious, it's tangy, it's salty, it's creamy, it's got umami, it's incredible. Another well-revered cheese from Italy is Pecorino Romano cheese. These two are very similar in terms of how they are made, but they couldn't be any more different. Pecorino cheese is made from sheep's milk, where Parmesan cheese is made from cow's milk. Pecorino, being made from sheep's milk, has a sharper, more tangier flavor than its closely related cousin, Parmesan. Parmesan is like a little nuttier, a little more mellow, where Pecorino is a little more to the face, more robust. It's delicious. Here's an easy tip to remember which cheese goes with which pastas, right? You have Parmigiano Reggiano, delicious, everyone loves it. Pecorino Romano, Roman, Rome. For all 4 of these dishes, you are going to use Roman cheese, Pecorino Romano cheese. Can you use Parmesan cheese? Absolutely, without a doubt. The cheeses are interchangeable in these recipes in terms of the science. If you want the proper emulsification and texture, and as this kind of tightens up when you're making a sauce later, both are going to react almost identical. They are going to taste differently. Like I just said, one is going to be more mellow and more nuttier, where the other one is going to be a little bit more robust, a little bit more tangy, a little more forward. That's what we're looking for this recipe, so we will be using Pecorino Romano cheese. Now, if you've ever made any of these pasta dishes at home before and you have ran into some issues, the number 1 issue I see is this one: not grating your cheese properly. Number 1, you go out to the store because you're trying to cut corners, not in my kitchen, and you buy pre-grated cheese. Only buy pre-grated cheese if you are buying from a grocery store that grates the cheese themselves fresh daily. You cannot buy pre-packaged grated cheese that's coming from states away. It's packed with fillers and tapioca starch and all this other stuff to keep the cheese from like clumping up on itself. When you add that into your pasta and try and create an emulsification, it's not gonna work. It's gonna be stringy, it's gonna be gelatinous, you'll have clumps, it's gross, it's not smooth. Grate it yourself, or find a really kind old Italian woman at a grocery store who you know is grating it herself. Number 2, not grating your cheese fine enough. I see this all the time. A lot of people think they're fancy because they own one of these, and this is a very popular kitchen tool in Michelin kitchens. It's a microplane. I can pop, 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 pop. Essentially grate anything into a fine powder using this, except when you are grating cheese, you are left with these small little strands of cheese. That is not what we're looking for. We need a nice powder cheese. We need to increase the surface area of these particles of cheese so when they begin to melt, they melt evenly and together in a sauce. So I'm happy you own one of these, but you don't want to grate your cheese with this. Believe it or not, we want one of these. This is a box grater, arguably one of the most dangerous pieces of equipment in the kitchen, so why not throw it up in the air and try and catch it? No, seriously. You have this one, which you probably have used before for macaroni and cheese and that sort of thing, right? This one that you have never used before, because why would you need 3 long cuts shaved of cheese? Just use a peeler or something like that. I'm with you on that one too. This one, which is probably the most popular one. It's like a nice fine medium space between like the larger and the smaller version. A lot of people like to use this one. And then you have this one that literally looks like it's shooting out little metal parts at you, right? What do you possibly use this for? Well, this is what you use for super fine grated cheese. You want to grate your cheese on this setting, not this setting, not this setting, not this setting, not getting in your car and going to the store setting, this setting. So for all 4 of these recipes, believe it or not, we are going to be using Pecorino Romano cheese grated fine on our grater, like so. The second ingredient we're going to be using in all of these recipes today is going to be pepper. Now, if you have a fancy schmancy pepper mill, you might be in good business. If you don't have a fancy schmancy pepper mill, I suggest just taking your peppercorns and lightly crushing them with like a rolling pin inside of a bag or something like that. Just make sure they don't go all over your counter. You want to coarsely crush your pepper and reserve it off to the sides. The powder you kind of want to sift away. This is a nice grinder. I don't get too much residual powder. I really just get some nice cracked black pepper pieces, which is what we're looking for. We are later going to be toasting these pieces. So if it is too fine, if it's too much of a powder, then it's just gonna end up burning in your pan. We don't want that. Third, I have some guanciale. What is guanciale? Guanciale is not pancetta. They are two completely different things. Guanciale is actually the jowl of the pig that has been cured in a salt mix with maybe a little bit of sugar, a ton of aromatics, and then hung to dry to fully cure all the way through. Okay, so you're left with like these nice pieces of fatty cured pork jowl. A little bit of meat that runs through here, as you can see. Absolutely love this. So I have these nice 2 chunks of guanciale here. Most of our recipes today are going to be using guanciale. And then lastly, we just have some eggs, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and some passata, which is just fancy schmancy talk for tomato puree. So again, let's review really quickly, right? We have Cacio Pepe, which is essentially just going to be an emulsification of pecorino romano cheese, cracked black pepper, and some sort of pasta. Traditionally, this sauce actually uses like some sort of noodle. When I was in Rome myself, I saw pici everywhere on the menu. So I'm actually going to show you how to make some fresh pici today. From Cacio Pepe, we add guanciale to the mix. Boom, alla Gricia. It's almost the same exact thing, except now we're coating our noodles in a little bit of this pork fat before making it into our sauce. From here, we add eggs or egg yolks. That gives us carbonara. Incredible. If we didn't add eggs and instead we added tomato, then we'd be going the Amatriciana route. You see how all of these kind of like stem together? This is the building blocks, Cacio Pepe. We're gonna start here. So we have all seen my Pasta 101 class where I show you how to make fresh pasta by hand, both an egg dough and a semolina dough. I'm going to be using a semolina dough here. I popped this out of the fridge probably about 45 minutes ago, so it's slightly tempered. It's still a little chilly to the touch, but the dough is a little more relaxed. You need that. There's a few ways of making pici. At the end of the day, we essentially want to make one long noodle. So I'm going to be doing this by hand. I'm essentially just going to roll this out to a much more manageable size. You don't have to be too concerned about the perimeter and the shape that we are keeping. We want it to be a little bit longer going one way, obviously. But we're going to hand roll these, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm kind of picking my dough up and rotating it so I'm only rolling in one direction, so I'm not being awkward and unevenly rolling going this way. I'm relaxed and I'm rolling only in one way. I already have the knife here for consistency, like so. The super traditional way of doing it, but out of all the ways I've made pici, this just to me seems like the easiest way of making it. So let me show you a little bit what we're going for. You want to take your strips and then you just kind of want to round them out. And as we're rolling, we're moving our hands outward. Okay. I'm basically using this part of my finger. I'm not using my knuckles of the individual fingers. That's how you roll out into bones. I want to kind of hang out right here, okay? Pici, like so. So we're gonna start by getting our pan hot. I have some coarse cracked black pepper that I sifted out. We're gonna add that to the pan. Lower the pan and then just move this around. We wanna gently toast our peppercorns here. We're just gonna take some of that pasta water and create like this little paste with our cheese. Give that a nice stir. Again, we have really coarse cheese here, so you'll see how fast this really dissolves and comes into like a nice cheese paste. Look at that. See how fast that just melts all together? I'm gonna add some pasta water to our pan. You'll notice the water in the pan start to turn a little bit brown. That's perfect. That's from the oils of the peppercorns that we toasted. We're gonna come in with our pasta, our big, beautiful pici noodles. Go right in, give that a nice toss. Make sure everything is coated. So we have a little bit of water in here, that's good. I'm gonna turn our heat off. And I'm gonna come in with our cheese. On and off the heat. Keep it going. Cacio Pepe with pici. So look, this takes practice. I'm still not amazing at it, but you see this nice sauce that we've created on the bottom? It's actually really sticking to the noodles, which is a good thing. But we have this nice, cheesy, creamy emulsification. Wow. Oh man, those noodles too. They got a nice bounce, nice chew to them. Just like that. So I have some guanciale here, chopped up. We're gonna put this into a cold pan, very important, cold pan. Why? The reason I want to start this in a cold pan is because we need to evenly and slowly render out all of the fat in the guanciale. If we had a hot pan and we added all of this, it would start browning unevenly. We're gonna slowly bring up the temperature of all of the pieces of the guanciale together. You hear that? No oil in the pan, just very fatty guanciale. Look at that. You see all the juice, all the fat? You see all the fat that's already starting to render out of this? There's so much in here. Drop it to like a medium and just kind of let this crisp up. Move it around to keep it from burning. Look at that, nice and crispy pieces here. Look at that. Can you see that? See all those crispy bits? Cut your heat off. And then I want to take all of the crispy bits out and leave the fat in the pan. We're going to take our pepper and we're going to toast that gently straight in that fat, just like this. Just move it around a little bit so it doesn't burn. It makes a little bit of noise, but it shouldn't really be sizzling or anything, okay? Got a little bit of pasta water, making a paste. Now we're really just going to be using the heat of the pasta to finish this dish. Coat all of my pasta in that peppery fat, okay? Keep it moving, keep it moving. Lovely. All right, then I got my cheese mix here. We'll add that straight in. Move it around. I gotta do this low. Move this around so it emulsifies like this. We're gonna go into manual mode. Keep this moving around. As it is cooling, it's thickening. Little bit more cheese, it's okay. And it's really just patience, you know? Don't be like, oh, it's not done yet. That's all right, keep moving it around. Some people like to garnish on top. I actually like it kind of all mixed in, just like that. Beautiful alla Gricia, coming in like this. Make sure you got all that guanciale in there. Then I want to come in with our sauce, right? Oof, look at that. Number 2 for our classic Rome pasta dishes, alla Gricia. All right, so what happens if we add eggs to alla Gricia? Well, you would get carbonara. So we're gonna start off the same way. In a cold pan with no oil, we're gonna add our guanciale, kick the heat up to like a medium. Start to move them around a bit, make sure everything is getting nice and coated. These out of the pan. And then I have some eggs. So I like to do 1 whole egg and then 2 yolks. Typically I'll do 1 whole egg for the pot, and And then I usually do 1 yolk per person. So again, 1 whole egg for the pot, and then 1 yolk per person. We're gonna do like a 2-person situation. So I got 2 yolks in here, 1 whole egg. Then I have our pecorino cheese. And we're back in our pan. So our pan is a little bit warm still. Perfect time to add our black pepper. Same story, kind of move that around a little bit and just gently toast the pepper in that fat. For this pasta, I'm using a shape called lumaci, which essentially means snails in Italian. So what I want to do is, I'm actually going to move this over here. So we're going to take our pasta. Lumaci means snails. You can use rigatoni. You can use linguine or bucatini or whatever you want. All of these little snails, they're going to soak up all of that guanciale fat. Beautiful. Let that completely get covered in the guanciale fat. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a little bit of our hot pasta water back here, and I'm going to add it to our eggs. Stirring vigorously, not to scramble my eggs, but I'm essentially tempering the heat to my eggs. So when I add it to the pan, my eggs aren't cold anymore now. The cheese is starting to melt a little bit. Everything is getting on the same page for temperature, okay? Now I want to add this quickly while stirring vigorously, not to scramble our eggs. And you'll notice that this is going to start tightening up on us, all right? Man down. Boop. Get them in there. Look at that. Unfortunately, if the eggs cook too quickly, there's really no reversing it, and it's just going to taste like scrambled eggs the whole time. See how I'm just keeping this moving? Excellent. If you want a more orange carbonara, you need more orange yolks. I don't know. Maybe go to Europe. You see how this sauce now is starting to like thicken? I can draw my spoon across and it leaves a slight little trail. Now we're getting a nice creamy sauce. Also, notice how there's no clumps of eggs. Nothing has scrambled in here. Carbonara. Dude, make this for someone you love. They'll get it. They'll get it. Look at that. Creamy unctuous sauce. Look at the pan. See how nothing's running in the pan? Beautiful. Finish with our crispy guanciale right on top. Oh, carbonara 101, baby. That's special. Last but not least, number 4, Amatriciana. Same story. Going in with some guanciale in a cold pan. Turn your pan on, and we're gonna slowly bring this up. So we have our nice and crispy guanciale here. We'll cut that heat off, take them out. Turn the heat off, and then you wanna add your tomatoes. You can use tomato puree, chopped tomatoes. We're gonna use the tomatoes to kind of like cool the pan down. Stir it in with all of that fat, and then kick it back up to like a medium. And let this cook out for about 15 minutes or so. Some people like to like deglaze with maybe a little bit of wine here. I don't like to do that. Some people also add onions in their amatriciana. It's not traditional. I want to show you traditional. But what we can add is a little bit of pepper flakes, because I like it spicy. That's okay. That's acceptable. And let all this kind of rock out for a few minutes. Now, it's not quite like Cacio Pepe, where it's getting its creaminess from the emulsification of the cheese in the sauce. So I like to incorporate the cheese by just taking the rind of the pecorino and adding that right in there. This is just gonna kind of slowly melt out, add some solidity and some umami to our sauce here. Heat's still on a low, like that. We can actually add our pasta. Stir all this together. Now we're talking. Beautiful. I'm gonna add a little bit of our pasta water, just a bit. Help bring all of this together. I'm going to add our guanciale back in. And then we just need some cheese. I don't know, I need about like 100 grams or so of cheese. So we'll just do this by hand straight in here. Matt, didn't you say you need to use a box grater? Yes, but we're not emulsifying this into like a nice creamy sauce with the pasta water. We're kind of just seasoning the sauce here with it. So the microplane here will do. Look at that. Guys, look at that. Mmm. Make sure you're getting all of those crunchy bits of guanciale in there. Finish with a little bit more pecorino. Rigatoni Amatriciana, the Roman way. Get a little bit of that guanciale in there. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Listen, quality ingredients go a long way here. Really, really well cured guanciale from Italy kind of does the trick. Thank you for going on this culinary journey with me. It's one of my favorite food cities of all time. We covered 4 classic Roman dishes. They're outstanding, they're easy, and we learned that it's really all about technique and the quality of ingredients. That's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for tuning in. If you've made it this far in the video, please just like, comment, subscribe. Tell me if you would make this. Tell me if I did a good job. If you're from Italy, rip me apart. I don't care. I could take it. I got thick skin.